3% of things you can do in Java, but it takes a lot of time. Like easily we can, instead of making everything manual, everything is automatically manual. There is some not done. So you kind of manually do it explicitly. So these small things they matter a lot. So it helps to like increase solving the problem. So that is like overall it's a new language.
Productivity level increases.
Right.
Even the silly mistakes are null pointer exception is the biggest mistake in programming.
$1 million question.
It's by mistake it was the null pointer exception. It's solving the problem.
Do anyone else use coroutines?
Yeah, I had heard about that.
That's still an experimental feature.
So it's released in the 1.2.
No, it will release in 1.3 stable version. Currently, it is an experimental feature. So it is working, but with an experimental tag. You can say it's beta version.
There are other new faces. Kali, Hydra.
My name is Kali. I'm actually not a programmer, but more of a technical manager. Basically, I want to do this code for the last 6 months.
Since last Google I mean, they announced it as a official language.
Because we have been cycle-based application. So this German has come, but it is not very successful. So is it for real projects?
Yeah, you can actually. It's fully supported by Google. You can build a great quality application.
So you work as a.
Animator.
Okay. Where do you work?
Ungo framework.
Ungo framework.
And so I'm working with it's all.
Okay. Have you used Kotlin? Okay. First time.
Yes. Follow that 31 days of Kotlin to start on.
Yes, so if you join GDG Hyderabad Slack group, you will see all the details. You do that. And you joined it, GDG Hyderabad Slack group.
GDG has its own Slack group. GDG Hyderabad, Google Development Group. They're active in, I mean, some people are active in Slack channel. Yes, you can interact with those. So your name? Hi, Rupesh. Yes, where do you work? What do you do?
I'm a student.
Oh, very good. And did you learn Android Studio, I mean Android?
Android.
So can we start on this?
It's set for 5:30.
Sure.
Person might be coming.
You want to give it 5 more minutes and then start? So what you're thinking, or?
I think we are set for 5:30. Then we can start. So let's start.
Oh, you can stand anywhere. Where are you? Forget about this. Just talk.
Yeah, ignore the live stream. It's something we're experimenting with, so just ignore the live stream.
Okay. So I'm Pankaj Roy. I'm working as software engineer at Talk. And I'm an Android app developer. I develop Android applications, plus a few more things that you'll come to know later. So today I'm going to talk about it, why do we need Kotlin, what is Kotlin, why it is important for Android app development, and what are the features that it is having. So we can build a great quality app using Kotlin, which was possible through Java, but with more number of people. So let's see what is Kotlin. So Kotlin is a product of JetBrains company. I'm sure most of you heard about JetBrains. JetBrains are known to build a great quality animators. Android Studio, IntelliJ, PyCharm, CLAN, there are a few more iterated they have built. And it's one of the company who has built Kotlin also. Now the story behind Kotlin says that JetBrains team was never trying to build Kotlin as a language. JetBrains team is known to build tools. They're making Kotlin also as a tool. But since this has got so many features and was well classified as a language, They have released it as a language in 2012 starting. So it got the first public appearance in 2011. At the end of 2011, and in 2012, it was widely known to all. But in last 2016, I think 2 years back, yeah. So in 2016, they released the first version of Kotlin, and since then they have got the popularity. Last year at Google I/O, Google has made it as a first-class language for Android app development, replacing Java. But this doesn't mean that Java is not a supported language. Java is still supported, but it's not the first-class language for making Android apps. Why Kotlin? So Kotlin provides a great combination of object-oriented language plus functional programming language. Object-oriented programming does have a restriction over how do we use function and how do we pass function. So it would be very easy to pass function because instead of creating a function to do a work, if I could pass entire function itself, that works great for me. That's what Kotlin does using Lambda. Kotlin is 100% interoperable with Java. So if you're having a project written in Java, you can use Kotlin that project itself. They are completely compatible with each other. Kotlin works well with Java, Java works well with Kotlin because internally both use JVM. The other feature is that it's much safer than Java because of null safety. Kotlin by default provides null safety. You write very concise code, you get more functionality. And about those who develop backend applications, so coroutines is one such thing which is extremely good for them. The old traditional theory says that process is a heavyweight, thread is lightweight. But the current scenario doesn't hold good this way. Thread is also not a lightweight component. Thread do have its own memory, plus it takes process memory also. You can say a component is lightweight if it doesn't consume much memory, but thread does consume it. And that's where coroutine comes into the picture. Coroutine doesn't require memory. They work with state machines. With state machines. Yes, it's one of the theory in computer science if you learn this. And that's the reason that if you try to build 1 million thread on a system, it will take around 1 to 2 minutes depending on your system configuration, even more than that. Same thing coroutine, 1 million coroutine, sufficient within 5 seconds. But it's in experimental phase right now. Server-side development. Yes, so Kotlin with coroutines works extremely well for server-side development. Because if you are developing apps and you are dependent on backend every time, if the backend person is not using thread, then you are always going with synchronous tasks. Backend person is using thread to go for parallel processing. But thread itself is not a very lightweight component. Thread does require time for creation and it requires a proper closure also. You do not want to end up with orphan threads. When it comes to coroutine is separate from threads. It works as a state machine. You might have heard about flowchart. Exactly state machine is that. Create a state and then go to next state until it ends. So if you are using coroutine at server-side development instead of Java, so for PHP developer, it works well. If you are developing PHP, no working. But if you are developing your backend with Java, if you are using coroutine instead of developing a Java, if you are using Kotlin and coroutine, it works extremely well. Kotlin can be used anywhere where you are using Java right now. Anywhere. So Kotlin also comes with multi-platform project where you can have a JavaScript and Java project combined together. And Kotlin supports for JavaScript since from day one. Java came next. So now why do we need Kotlin for Android? First and foremost is concise code. There are very less boilerplate code that you write in Kotlin. The less you write, the more you achieve in Kotlin. That's much better because if you are writing more lines of code, then you need more time. Test that also. And if there is any issue, again go back to your code, look at where the issue can be. But if system is generating code for you, it has undergone a very well testing procedure and then machine is writing code for you. That's what Kotlin does. It writes code for you. It's very expressive language. Expressive language, by this what I mean is that the way you write your code is self-explanatory. I wonder how many of you write comments on your code so that other person can understand it. But Kotlin is one such language where if you do not write comment also, any person coming here and reading your code, it's easy for them to understand what do you mean. Null safety, that's a multi-billion question. Null pointer exception. So Kotlin claims that you'll never ever get null pointer exception. But there is a problem with this. By default, Kotlin, all objects are of non-null type. They don't accept null. You need to explicitly say that this object accepts null. If you are trying to assign null to a non-null object, then you get null pointer exception. But apart from this, you will never get null pointer exception. So when you know that an object can contain null, you need to specify that it may accept null values also. It's 100% interoperable with Java, so same project can use Java and Kotlin both together. Extend functionality without inheritance. So I don't know how many of you heard about extension function. It's one of the very popular concepts in Kotlin, where you write some functions, you extend some function for the current component and use it anywhere you want without extending them. So you can write your own features without extending the classes. Performance. So there are few of the areas where Kotlin outperforms Java. We are using lambdas. The bytecode that it generates is much better than Java. So these are the places where Kotlin runs faster than Java. And with Android P, app written in Kotlin will work faster. Find UI ID. I wonder how many of you like to write find UI ID. The way to avoid this is data mining. I use so many persons who are using data mining just to avoid find UI ID. So that gives an object. With that object, you can access your views. Data mining is not meant for this. Data mining is having potential to do a lot more than this. Other way to avoid this was butter knife. Butter knife was also one of the component with which you can avoid. Again, you need to write extra piece of code, inject the method, then you may get null pointer exception also there sometime. But Kotlin is having Kotlin extension. Whatever you define for your view can act as an object name. You don't need to specify find UI ID, but it is there. If you explicitly want to go with find UI ID, you can write it. But that's actually not needed. These are a few of the apps that are built with Kotlin. So most of you have heard about Slack, Capacity. I don't know. There are a few of the popular apps that are built with Kotlin. They are not 100% built with Kotlin, but they are built with Kotlin. So they have a both file, Java and Kotlin. So these are a few of the set of features that we are going to cover today, except coroutine, because coroutine itself is having a very big section. It's a part of separate topic itself. So we'll cover all this: extension function, data classes, null safety, higher order, lambda, parsable, and all these things. Let me give a quick introduction about all this feature. Extension function is a method where you extend feature of a component and add your own functionalities without inverting them. For example, to an edit text. Now, edit text always written editable. That doesn't return string. Now you have to convert editable to string. Most of the time when you access edit text, what you need is string, not editable. Ultimately, you end up with edit text.getText.toString. But this can be avoided using extension function. You can have an extension function on edit text and get a string always. Data class. So the model class that we used to generate in Java was having getters and setters. It's none less than a boilerplate. And with Kotlin, it's not needed. Just a one line is sufficient to generate a model class. Just need to specify data in front of class. That generates getters and setters for you automatically. Null safety, because you have to access all the variables, all the objects using question mark. So this you get null safety. We'll have a look onto the code later. Higher order function, and it's a mathematical topic. Higher order function is a function which takes function as a parameter or return function as a result. Traditional function takes only parameters, primitive types or an object. But higher order function can take function itself as a parameter, or may return function as a result. That is supported in Kotlin. Lambda is one such feature through which you can achieve higher order function. The way you pass function is through lambda. Parsable. Now, if you want to pass your object from one activity to another activity, there are two ways to do this. One is through serializable, one is through parsable. Serializable is certainly not a good way in Android. Second lightweight is parsable. Again, you need to write boilerplate code for this. But with Android, you just need to annotate with @parsable. Works well. Default and named argument. Now, in Java, we had function overloading. The reason why we do function overloading is because we need different parameters. Now, with Kotlin, we have named and default argument with which we can avoid function overloading. I can define a value to my parameters beforehand. If I do not pass it, it knows that this is the value for the object. So just for this reason, function overloading is not needed. No checked exception, so no need to have a checked exception in this. Everything is cached and dynamic now. Delegates is, again, we'll have a look on delegates, Kotlin, and smartcast. Well, delegate is three delegates that you get in Kotlin by default is lazy, map, and observable. Delegate is an ability to pass I'll show the code, otherwise you'll not understand what it is. But lazy, observable, and map. What they do is that lazy loading, I wonder how many heard about lazy loading. So lazy loading is one such feature where you initialize an object when you need it. You never re-initialize it again. That's what lazy loading is. That's possible to delegates. Observable. Observable is to a current object. I can set an observable to know what is the previous value, what is the current value. So all those scenarios where I need observable, I can use observables.
Yeah, this is the observable same you use in RX.
RX. So it's not exactly same, but yes, similar to that. And map. Map is again one delegates where you can have your object mapped with key value. Have a look on it. That's the basic syntax of Kotlin. So it's completely different than Java. So initially what we have is class. That's exactly same as Java. Class. But the way it do inheritance is different. In Java we had extends. Now we have colon. So if I want to extend any class, I do class, colon, class, which I want to extend. Now you all can say what set on click dismiss. Set on click dismiss comes with one method, on click. This one is lambda function. Because I do not want view parameter, I can completely. But in case I want view, then I can have view and an arrow. That's it. No need to write it. No need to override the method of on click.
Which one is the lambda function?
Whichever starts with braces. That one is lambda. So whenever you write a code in braces, that's nothing but a lambda function. It's done. Now coding part. Okay, so let's have a look of code now. Yeah. So the way we define object is also different in Kotlin. In Java, it was straightforward int, variable name, and then define whatever value you want to give. But here we have var and val. Var means immutable content. I can change the value of val again and again. Val is mutable. I cannot change the value of val once again.
The line of code should be valid.
We are doing some changes actually. Yes, we had this in JavaScript. If I want to change age value, I'll get an error. The way we define function here, that's also different.
So suppose I define val. So it's like constant.
Val is like constant final. You cannot change its value. And one thing is that all upper level declaration needs initial value. Java had it optional. So you have an onCreate method in an activity. Above onCreate, you define your variables. But in Kotlin, if you do it, you need to define the value. So it's not something which it takes by default. You need to provide the value of an object. Everything in Kotlin is object. There is no variable. Each and everything. There is no primitive types. Each and everything is object derived from any. Any is base class. So as you can see, age colon int. It says that age is a type int. One good thing in Kotlin is that you do not have to define the type of an object. It can understand from the value that you are assigning it. As you can see that val age colon int equals to 12. The second one is val name equals to Jack. Now it understands that name is of type string because of the value. So it's completely optional. You can define name, define the type, or you can leave it. Now the way you define function in Kotlin is using fun. There is no void in this. If you do not want to return anything from function, you can leave it as it is, or you can have column unit. Like the return type of this function is unit, means by default is void. That's how you define the return type of function. Yes. The function, function name, colon, its return type. So you can have anything here, string, int, anything. Because we do not have void keyword in this, so it's exactly same as void. Unit means it returns nothing. Now about how do you define an object which may contain null value? That's it. You need to define question mark for the type of object. Int question mark says that now this object may have a null value. Now, because this object may have null value, and if I try to do some operation onto it, I may get null pointer exception. That's why it is not allowed. See a red color line. I cannot directly access this now. The only way to access is through question mark. What this does is that Internally, it checks whether age is null or not. If it is not null, then executes the next one. In Java, same thing. What we used to do with if this is null, then do this. Same thing in one line. Object question mark your operations.
If it's null,
If it is null, then it will not execute the remaining part and return null by default. Yes, it will, because it never returned from a function. It just returned from that line expression. One good thing also that you have in Kotlin is if you have just one line statement which you want to return, there is no need to have braces and a return key. You can directly use it. It's a one-line return statement. This works only and only when you have just a one-line return statement. If you have multiple lines, again have braces, write your code, and use return, whatever you want to return. Multi-value return is also possible in Kotlin. So as you can see, pair. Now this function is returning two values. That inside pair. The function can return one value, two values, and if you want to return more than two, then return more. There was tuple earlier, so they are removed. 1, 2 is okay, but more than 2, return a model, return an object.
this was there in Java.
Yes, it was there with pair. But one thing that was not there in Java is destructuring them. So if I like to get a value of name and age from that function, there are two ways to get it. Get it to an object, and then get dot first and dot second. Dot first return name, dot first return age, second returns name. But there is another functionality with destructuring. I can destructure an object. Destructuring says that define the object that you want to return and then call the function. That's it. And automatically it will assign the first and the last value. But with one restriction. Since you are using pair with two values, you need to return two values. It's not the case that I just want age, so while age equals to this, it will not work. Because this return pair, when you are destructuring it, you need to pass these two as an object also. And you can directly access name and age anywhere you want to access. About class. So class inheritance is not permitted, it's straightforward. By default, Kotlin doesn't allow inheritance for any class. They are by default final. If you want to extend it, you need to have open keyword. Open class can be inherited anywhere. So by default, you're not able to inherit any class. And class is exactly same as Java. There is no much difference. We have a class name, but constructor is different. So earlier we used to have a constructor public with same name as class. That was again a boilerplate code writing a method with same name as class. So Kotlin has combined all those together with the class names. Like open class person val address. A val address is a constructor. Whenever I want to create an object of person, I need to pass address also. If you want to have, what T? That's how you do inheritance. You have a class child, that is inheriting from person. Inheritance status. Colon, parent class. One thing which you might observe is because this parent class takes constructor, whenever you want to extend this, pass the value. It's not permitted to omit this one. You can pass anything, variable or by default hardcode string, but it is needed because we have defined it as a constructor. If you do not define this, it's well and good. For those class which you, well, actually it is not needed, but if it is required, then you can have a private constructor also. Private constructor will not allow this class to get inherited anywhere. But by default also, it's not permitted. You need to define an open keyword. This has to provide 100% Java interoperability. So there are few things which you'll find which doesn't make sense, but it is there because of interoperability feature. Like for example,
I would like to add for singletons, if you want to create, you need a private constructor.
well, singleton with class is not needed. Singleton in Kotlin is created with object.
I mean, there are certain situations, for example, we need to create a singleton of shared profile, and we need to pass a context to it. Now, it's a special case of singletons where you need to pass a parameter. Now, objects don't allow sending parameters, so you have to use private constructor.
Yes, so when you're using an object, so you'll get an access to it using function. So you can pass a context in that function. So earlier you were passing through constructor. Now instead of constructor, pass through function.
We have an example for that and later we can see. I generally use classes and in Kotlin it's possible to use an object to create singleton. Also, like in objects, it's very difficult to have those properties. Right? I mean, I can't define variables inside like private members. So,
Object, you can have an object inside, means you can define a variable there. Like object, some name, var, anything you can have. Or val, something. You want to return through this, or you can have like this also. So it's a singleton. Now you can see red line there. Return name. It's giving this red line just because I haven't defined the return type of this function. By default, return type of function is void. Void is nothing but unit. And what I'm passing is a string. What do I need to give is colon string. That's it. That creates a singleton for by default.
I have to pass a variable and object.
Now, if you want to use context anywhere, single dot get name, pass the context.
And it will return like this.
This means like
I mean, it will return single object.
yes, it returns single object.
You just replace that string with single.
Which string?
The getting one, which is the getting context. I wanted to return single.
You want to return the single.
Yeah, I mean single
Class
also
object,
return
class object itself.
singleton object.
No, that it doesn't return. What it does is that whatever variable name that you have on top, get single instance of that, and function gets called each and every time. So if you want something to use as a single time, then you can have an init block. Write your code here. This gets executed only one time.
So if the return type of get name is single,
Okay, so this type you want as single. But what it does actually?
so now what should it return? Singleton should return instance of itself only once.
Yes,
After all the time, it will return the same instance.
yes.
How can I achieve that same thing using? I've been using classes.
So say you want to use single dot get name one. Because we do not have a static keyword here, everything in object is nothing but a static. So whenever you use single dot get name one, always get a single instance of it, single object. You need not have to return an object of this anymore. Class works well with an object, but this itself is an object. It's not a class.
That would be memory leakage, right? I'm passing the text to a static class.
That's why we don't pass actually.
Like people create single things for data access. The database helper class will generally wrap it around a single thing, so that only one instance is created. Similar kind of functionality. Using classes for one solution would be like we can define, we can use the application context. That is all.
So you want to pass context as a constructor.
About the singleton class.
So singleton is straightforward. This itself, object name. This gives you a single instance of it. If your objective is not fulfilled with this, then you can go with class, with a private constructor. But most of the scenarios, this holds good. It's one of the recommended way by Kotlin JetBrains teams to create a singleton. But if it doesn't work for you, then go ahead with private constructor.
A couple of days ago, I was going to develop an Android. I was going through the poly with the internet. There they have created a singleton object for getting Poly's request to.
Okay.
And they have used the class, not an object. But the reason being, you have to pass the context. So generally, you have seen if you buy something, send to a singleton.
So one thing is that because Kotlin got introduced to Google last year after I/O, so you'll see many features which is there in one project missing in another project. So the more you explore, the more you know about it. Okay. Now string interpolation. Now this is something that we had in Python. Triple quotes. That's permitted in Kotlin also. You have very lengthy characters, a sentence that you need to write, then you can have it with triple quotes. Use triple quote, write your sentence in any line as possible, then end with triple quote. Java, what we used to do is, if I want to append something to a string, I use plus. But now we have this dollar object name, and it works well. Also is one of the extension function. This line. So what this does is that, hello, how are you? Is the string. Onto that string, what I'm asking is to print out. So callable reference. Callable reference allow me to pass function to another function. Also is a function which is working on a string. What I'm asking is to print. It's another way of printing a string. Also works well with chains. So we have a completely different kind of loop here, for loop. Very different from traditional for loops. In Java, what we used to have is int I less than something, and then I plus plus. Now here we have ranges. So what this means is that start from 0 and end at 2. This defines a range. 2 dots. If I want to run a reverse loop, That is for increment. Auto increment. One reverse of it and different down. Down to 0 means start with 100 and go all the way to 0. If I say 10, then start from 100, go till 10.
Specify the increment. Is there an option to specify the increment?
Means you have to increase
For
with
example, in your case, 0 to 100, is it increment type?
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hmm.
If you want it like 5,
So for this you have steps. Increase by step of what?
So it can be dynamic or
Step.
can be
It's always step. Same way for down to want to decrease with some step. Then down to 0, then step. With -2 always. So now this one is array initialization and this one is lambda. What this means is that array of size 10 and all values are 0 in 10. So if you want to give a default value to an array, this is how you can define the size of it, any lambda, pass them a number or a string, whatever you want to use, default value. Now, indexes. There are some scenarios where I do not want to access the content of it, rather I want index of it. Whether it's of 0 position, 1 position, or 2 position, I want position, not the content of an array. So in those scenarios, we go with indexes. So I start with the index of an array from 0 to the end of array length. And suppose I want both array value also and index also, these two, then with index. By default, it gives me value. By default, it doesn't give index. Like this one. So here I have a list. List of is a mutable list. Earlier we used to have in Java array list of integer. Here, if you have a mutable list, which you know that will never change its value, then you can have a list of. And it's a list of int is determined by the value it pass. If you pass a string, it's a list of string. To get the content of this list, I did not have to do much in for me. Directly pass this list and get the items. But if I want to get the index also, value plus index again with index. This gives me the value of this list with its index. And that's one of the useful scenarios where we want to run a loop from 0 to size -1. Then you go with until. By default, it runs from 0 to the list of size -1.
It's good to have technology in this list instead of all the integer.
Means you can sing about this an integer now having string. Yes, it is possible. Yes. So then it will not be of type of integer, not string also. It can be type of any. Because any is the parent of all. So this means that this is a list of type any. You can get either integer, string, or a float or double, anything you can have. Map. So exactly same functionality is available for map also. When I know that my map value will never ever change, I can have a hash map of it. It's a mutable map. And if I want to run a for loop for map again, Same. Pass map and get the key and value both. Because in map I need both key and a value. So that's why by default for loop returns both key and a value. This is one additional feature that we have in Kotlin is in an array or in a list, I can check for a content whether it is available or not using in operator. Everything in Kotlin is expression. If also, it is also an expression, so it returns value. If also. So here we can check the content whether hello is available in this list or not. If it is not available, in this, if it is available, but it's not operator. Negation dot n. So, how many have used switch in Java? So now we do not have switching module. Switch is replaced with when. And when is much more powerful than switch. When doesn't work just for one time, it works for many times and can do many operations altogether. Like here it is checking for a string, a traditional way which switch can also do. Now, that's the beauty of when now. I can have a range inside when. What this one is saying is whether this object is in the range of 0 to 100. If it is, you can add a negation there which indicates that this value should not be in between 10 to 100. So that 2 dot means range. Start to end. But if you want just 2 values, that doesn't make sense to give range for one level or 2. So you can have a comma there, like this way, 1000 and 2000. This means that either this value is either 200 or 1000 or 2000, then put this. If you have more than 2 values, then go for range. If you have just 2, then comma separately sufficient. You can check the type of it also inside when, whether it's type integer, string, or double using case operator. Now when, because everything in Kotlin is expression and expression returns value. When also returns value. Now here result will contain value one of this. Now when you are using when as an expression, it is important to leave else branch. Else is exactly same as default in switch. If none of the condition pass, then go for else statement. No, break is not needed. Your new line says that it's end of the statement. I wonder how many of you have observed this one that I haven't used semicolon in any other places. Because it's actually not needed in Kotlin. Your line says it's end of statement. Your multiple line, then go for braces. Right. Then you can have multiple content. But if it is of single line, this is not needed. So this are completely optional. Now casting. Kotlin supports smart cast. What smart cast means is that when I say an object is of type string, I must get all the operation that a string can perform. So in Java, what we may have is whether it's a type string or not more than that. But now if I check it whether it's type of string or not, then I get all the operation that it performs. Because this condition will only execute if object is of type string. Then it makes sense that object can do all those operations the string can do. So here we do have a smart cast, which says that when an object is of particular type, give all the functionality to the object. So the green color that we are saying that indicates it's auto smart casted. The above one if is smart casted to string, below one smart casted to int.
Change J is in. So it will be here. Not here. Say
In or string. That's already we have in else. Okay, this error you are asking for. Yeah. So because now these operations are not available for int, I'm getting this error. Okay, so smart does not just work for those things, but smart does also work for null checks. So when I say that object is not null, then object will not be null here. So I can directly access this. Otherwise, I have to access it with question mark. Question mark dot access the content that it is having. Null safety. One of the important features in Kotlin, the null safety, because it's claimed that Kotlin will never ever give null pointer exception. So because there are upper level declaration, so it needs initial values. That's why you are seeing double quotes and null there. If I do not pass it, it will give me an error. All top level declaration needs initialization. Now age is of type int. Age is of int which can contain null values. Question mark indicates that. So if I want to do any operation, say increase the value of age, I need to do with question mark. If age is null, it will not execute the remaining part and end there itself without giving any null pointer exception.
you see it to return null.
Where? To print.
Yeah.
Print accepts it. No issues.
Print is it.
Yes. So the parameter is handled well because you are passing to a function.
So log does not accept null.
Yes, so there you will get an exception. Because here you are passing the parameter and it's already handled.
So that I log what I and its age, null safety, and language.
Log.I like.
What will not accept it?
No.
If particularly are to string, but yeah, I use two string and two string will cost. But it will give the error.
No, to string will pass null as null annual to string. So suppose I say age dot to string. It is not giving me any error. Yes. Now in a string I'll get null. Another way of handling null is using let. If I have to access this object many times, it's not good to access with question mark again and again. So what I can do is let object question mark dot let. And then access age as in hit. It is nothing but a context of age, whatever you're passing in the beginning. And that will always be non-null. But we are checking for null. There itself is let. Now here condition is failing actually. Age, I'm checking that age is not equals to null, but still I'm using age question mark dot plus 10. But what ideally I should use is age dot plus. There's no point of checking null again here. Because if I'm checking for this, but I'll get an error. I'm getting error for the question mark, which I removed right now. I've already checked it. Age, if the age is not null, then exclude this part. Otherwise, don't exclude. But still, I'm getting this error. And I'm getting this because age is of type var. So var value may change at runtime. So compiler might have excluded this. By the time it executes this, now age might contain null. So for extra precautions, what they have is use with question mark or use let here with it context. So for all variable with var, wherever you want to access like this with if or with let. Higher order function. A higher order function is a function which takes function as a parameter or return function as a result. So this is how you pass function to any other function. Now this function takes anything. This bracket indicates the return type of this function. Now since nothing is specified in front of this, then you can pass anything. Log, print, whatever you want, you can pass it. Same thing, if you want to pass some object with function, that's also possible. Use your object, comma, function. Now, this function, here I specified that this will work only with int. So whenever you are passing to this higher order function, that has to be of type integer. Because I have already defined it, this has to be of type int. And the return type of this one is string. Now, one thing is cross-line. This is optional. So we have three things: cross-line, no-line, and inline. Inline means that whenever I'm accessing this higher order function anywhere, whatever content I am passing to this, just cut and paste to the place where I am calling this function. Do not redirect compiler to this place. Same traditional way of inline. Inline function is copied and pasted to the place where you are calling this function. In general, for other kind of function, compiler redirect to the function and come back to the place where you have called it. But with inline, it just copy and paste the content that we have in inline function to the place where you are calling this function. No inline is again reverse of this. There is no need of inlining it. Cross inline is this function might return some value, which is actually not needed here, because what we are bothered about is the main function. So cross inline restricts. This will not let higher order function to return any value. About the delegates that I was saying. So that's the lazy delegate. So whenever I'm accessing name, only and only at that point of time that I have got 60. After that, the value that it is having, it returns the value immediately. Never executes this block again. It's extremely useful to scenarios where you assign a memory to a variable or an object and the user performs some action. When user performs a click, so it's completely based on users. Like lazy again, so lazy straightforward. So whatever you have at the last line, it returns that. About all those lines can be used for printing the values that never gets written. Only last line gets written to the user. By map, name and age will automatically become a key to this map. You do not have to define with a string that name is a key in this map, age is a key. your object itself will turn to key. Like this. So this person is taking map of string and string. Now this name is actually age again same. So if I want to access it, I can directly access from person.name, person.age to get this values. Observers. This is something that we do have in RxJava, but it's a bit different. Observer, how does this work is that you specify the default value, and then you get an access to the property type. It's a string here, old value, new value. So whenever you initialize any other value to the name observer, this happens. You can perform any operation. If there is a particular condition that changes the value only for condition matches, then go for iterative. Iterative check for condition. If condition matches, then we'll allow new value to be assigned to the object, otherwise old value remain as it is. These are custom delegates that are by default by the libraries. You do not have to do anything for this directly access. But if you want a specific custom delegates, then you can create it like this. Override this method, get value, set value, and set value. So whatever type that we have here, that type has to be exactly same as get value. So I cannot have an int and string combination. Whatever you are setting, get it. So while getting, what I want is that I need dollar symbol. So by default, this works for me. Set the value, whatever it is giving, while getting this value and dollars. Like for example, this one. Now, this object of type string, it's delegate. Delegate is what we have created. Now, whenever I assign any value, say 100, so whenever I access it, I get $100 by default, automatically. We can have a generic type also. Earlier it was straightforward and I was using string. But there are scenarios where I do not know what the type is, it's integer or a string or a float, then I can go for generic type. And the type is anything. N is base class of all. And return type is exactly same thing. Whatever you have it here, like same thing.
Why does those functions have that operator keyword?
So whenever you write any object, you have this operator value by default, get value and set value. These are keywords that you have, get and set values. And this operates on operators. That's why you get this. So if you manually write this, you'll get an error. Get value and set value because they are defined for the values. Properties because we do not have any getters and setters, so everything is property here. That gives getters and setters to us by default. But there are scenarios where we need to customize the getters and setters. How do we do that? Instead of writing a getter and a setter, they do have a method called properties, where I get and set. Like for example, first name and last name. These are two properties here, and I want full name of the user. So I can get the full name, appending first and last name. And I never want to set the name of the user, full name, privacy. I'll never get an access to setting the full name. Same way it works with Boolean also. So it's a constructor. data class my user is a constructor. This creates a data status for me by default. If I want to see whether boolean is available or not, then just type boolean get whether it is a. One thing is and. In Java we had a symbol for this, double ampersand. And we have and. It works with boolean. Same way we have or also. So let me come to classes. It's a traditional approach for have a model class. You have your properties, getters and setters, which we don't use at actually. What do we use is this one. There is better approach than this also, but this is also important. This is important as a model class in all those places which doesn't accept primary constructor with argument. So in all the places where primary constructor has to be empty constructor, this kind of model works well. But if there is no such restriction, your constructor may have an argument, then you can straightforward go with just one line. Data class, class name, all objects. One thing is that in single file you can have multiple classes also. There is no such restriction that one file should contain only one class. And you can access any class without accessing another class. So it's not like an inner class. They all are outer classes. They all are accessible.
File name could be anything. That case, when you define classes for file name, then it can be anything.
File name, yes, you can have any file name.
So when you define that, so these classes are class types of specified inside this type, inside this file will be created. So when you compile this, so what will be the output? Output in the sense of the program classes.
Yes, so whenever you compile this one, so whatever output that you are getting for one class, exactly same thing you are getting with classes right now. So this generates a multiple classes with one file name. So it's not something like it is dependent on a file. File is just used to map that this class belongs to this file name. That's it. So your class remains as it is.
So one class will be common for all the dot class file for all the classes.
Here it doesn't generate dot classes. In Java we had it, but here we do not have dot class. So the conversion is not from Kotlin to Java, Java to dot class, object, then whatever you run. It's not like that. Kotlin to object, then JVM. Straightforward. So whatever you are writing here, that gets generated by Kotlin. That doesn't generate dot class file. That's where we have an opportunity to write multiple classes or function in a single file.
So, previously you need to create a package for instead of that.
Yes, you can have it. And the last one is function. So function, straightforward. One is a keyword. You can define all your functions like whatever operation you want to perform, print, add, subtract, anything. Return type is in column. Define the return type and return. So single line with equal sufficient. Just determine the return type also. You can leave this one. If you want, you can specify that you can leave it. Because value determines what will be the input. If you are returning multiple values, then pair. Restructuring is again straightforward. Well, whatever you want to access goes to object, then return the values. The last thing is how do you create an adapter? So before that, utils. So utils consumes a lot of space for all projects. When it comes to Kotlin, there is no point of defining an object or a class for util. Just have a class, have a file, and write all your methods inside file. There's no need of class and an object and then write a static class. You can write everything inside a file. But if it is needed, then you can obviously have it.
Another class, how do you call these functions?
Binding is required.
No, binding is not needed. So say here I have a function convert to int. If I want to access this method from any other class, it directly imports this function. So import is based on function by function. It doesn't import entire class. So whatever you want to access, it imports only those content. You actually need not have to do anything. All those things get handled for you automatically. Say in function. In this structuring, let me get this one. Then dot convert to int. It's in separate package, separate file. Now this file is in separate package, but still I can access it.
What is the 10?
Yeah, so I'll come to it. That's extension function. So this is how extension function works. On a string, I'm performing some operation. So I can give any name there, like a function name. And to the left side, I define on which I want to perform this operation. This can be either integer, string, float, anything. So this is how we extend our functionality to the existing component. So what this means is that take the string value and perform this operation and return it.
Now with extending the function, can I override a function like this? Like string has two strings. So can I override a function?
I can, which kind of
Means
scenario?
like when you say like two string, you already have a two string.
Yes.
Not that you have two string same. One string and not two string.
Oh yeah, you can have it with int also. Exact same function name with int. That's permitted.
String dot string.
No, that is not permitted. ToString is a keyword. That's a by default method. So that is not permitted.
Already existing methods I cannot.
No.
I can add.
Yes. More extension function I can show from Citrix.
Just give me add parameters. Take parameters also.
Yeah. So this is another extension function. What this does is that it loads fragment. It's working on app component activity. That means you can call this extension function from any activity. What you need to pass is layout ID, fragment, and whether I have to backstep or not. So extension function does access parameters also. And then write your code here. Now this one is higher order function. Extension function with higher order function. So again, on activity is working fragment transaction. So whatever operation available with function fragment transaction, I can pass it. I'll show how this works. Like this. It was expecting fragment transaction. All these operations are permitted on fragment transaction. I'm never asking for begin transaction, support fragment, nothing. Directly using the function that are available for fragment transaction. And I'm passing all those things to the extraction function with higher order function. Kotlin fragment is straightforward. And the last thing is adapter. So this is how you create an adapter. So if you have a class inside class, it's important to get access of it. So there will not get access to this class. And about the inheritance. So with view holder, we need to pass view to the super keyword. If it is needed, important, what you can do here? Get the view and pass to the constructor keyword. This tag is super. So
So here that's an inner class.
Hmm.
And is it like a static class or a non-static class? Because the Android ecosystem tells us that inner classes should be static to avoid confusion. Is it a static class?
No, it's not static class because we do not have static keyword. Yeah.
There will be no use.
No, there will not be because it's an optimized bytecode which can handle this very well. That's why in Java they said that have a static class. So you'll have always single address to this. Whenever you access the parent class, you'll get a single instance of the inner class. That was the main objective of using static, not to get multiple instances. Same way for inner class, you will always get a single instance whenever your parent class is getting initialized. So it's an optimization level that's done at bytecode side. Okay, so that's it. Anyone having any questions?
I think the code is there in GitHub. Maybe they can download and run the and we just want to give the features and then everybody can install those features. So you install So if anybody wants to connect to internet, I can share the credentials. You can check Nokia D5. Nokia so password is Nokia and should be called capital. Can you type? Wi-Fi password. Nokia @20. Nokia D5.
All Java applications and JavaScript. And now coming for web framework for what? If you are developing using JavaScript, then it works for you. Otherwise, it currently it not support. Using Java, you can develop this web application. So then you can use Kotlin. So any place where you are using JavaScript and Java, it works. And now they are targeting Swift also. So with Kotlin native, you can write iOS code also. Yes. So JavaScript supported from day one.
You are going to complete the client side.
Server side also you can code if you are using Java for development. For development of APIs.
So this can be a replacement for JavaScript or REST.
Yes, it is actually a replacement of Java. No, it's not a replacement of JavaScript.
Actually, one is writing a compiler of Kotlin as JavaScript. So it's still in beta version or alpha version. One community is not a big community.
GitHub link so that people can download. These are the GitHub links. You can download the code. You can run.
Can you show applications which are built end to end? Using Kotlin? Something.
Yeah, the first link is that one.
So how many of you really understand the concepts? I mean, whatever you understand. Very good. So you wanted to give a task. a small starter project like calculator, so that with the same features, whatever you discuss. So if you develop those features, you'll be more.
Because one thing what we understand is that when you develop, then you learn. And calculator app is very basic app. What you need is just add, subtract, divide, and do. And then we'll tell you that what are the features that is there in Kotlin with which you can optimize your code. There are so many things which are available. It's not possible to cover it in this session. But when you develop it, so whenever it will come to you, we'll show that what are the features that are there, which you are coding right now. It's actually there, pre-built in Kotlin. So do have a try for this. Try to develop a calculator app wherever you stuck.
It is going to help us in case.
Yes.
We have about 30 minutes and we'll be here around here. So you can start a new project, make 2 edit text, have 4 buttons and 1 text view with the result, and code in Kotlin. That's what you do. Because everybody knows, everybody is an Android developer. So you know how to do it in Java. Let's do it in Kotlin.
But don't create Java project and convert it to Kotlin, please.
So we do have that feature also. you can copy and paste code in Kotlin, it auto converts, or you can convert Java to Kotlin.
Yes, so then the existing migration of Java files can be easily.
Yes, it can be.
Yes.
So anybody interested in that? Or
So there is a one guy from Africa. I don't know how many of you. So he developed a Java program using the feature phone. So he installed something mobile and he did the coding and all from the feature phones. And now he's studying in science. Yeah. He doesn't have, he didn't have a laptop.
That shows his interest.
Yeah, and so.
That is very good.
Some people have said that they want to see full-fledged content app, so I generally go on
Yeah, and if you guys are facing any problem in Android and you want to discuss,
You want to show some.
yeah, that is good. But if you are facing any other problem in Android and you want to discuss how to solve it, we all are here to help.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not a very good code, so I'm also learning Kotlin. So, and one thing about Kotlin is like once you start coding in Kotlin, then coding in Java is really boring because you have to write so much code. So you have to keep that in mind.
So actually, what I'm doing is one website is there, XSS. So there's have a CLI, an online interface is there. So it has already have a test cases for that, and there is a release file for that, what you have to read. So actually, I'm converting both that algo and all everything in Kotlin. So that is the best way to learn. They have a 250 or 300 questions in there. So you don't have to upload your code, they will test you and use them. So that is a very good site.
We will show demos after this.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just show you the app. I was just like trying out things in material, adding motion and all the motions that I like. So
Sorry to interrupt. It's live stream.
so it's not a very good app. I've just added too many animations, everything like that. I just wanted to test things. So
Vision is easier in Kotlin.
it's same. I mean that you have to use the Android API. Okay, so I'll just tell you a very small thing which is called Anko. Have you heard of Anko? So these JetBrains guys only, they created something called Anko, which is like a library that helps you write very good code in Kotlin. So they have something called Anko Logger. So we all use log.d, logging library, Android's logging library. With Anko, you can use something like this. If I want to print debug tag, I will just write debug, and that's it. It takes a lambda. I can just put anything here, and it will print it. Similarly for info and everything. So check this out. It's called Anko. Yeah, so this is a library of Anko Commons. Okay, I'm standing in. Sorry. So use this, and it's really cool. You'll find many nice utility classes and things like that. Okay, so this is the app. So we have something called Unsplash. Unsplash is like a free image library processing thing, something like that. And you can get free images from there. So all these images are coming from there. So I can go full screen and all those things. So let's focus on this list only. So I have a couple of images. and I'm displaying it in a recycler view. This is my data class. We all have constants, and in Java we used to write constants in a. I used to edit an interface and just implement an interface wherever I need constants. In Kotlin, we can use an object for that. So all my constants are defined in this object class, and then this thing I call it API utils. So this is a object again, and I've written all my networking calls over here. So fetch data from response. These are utility methods. So get photos from server. I call it, I pass the context, and I get a list of all images. I pass my client key and all those things. So it is making a REST call. And if you see here, error listener and photo listener are high order functions. So I'm sending that function, and these functions will be called whenever I get a response. So let's see how I'm using it. So yeah. So inside my onCreate, I have this method API utils.get photos from server over here. I'm passing my client ID, which is required for the API call. And then over here, I have just one Lambda function. And this Lambda function will be called whenever my network call is successful. So here I get a list of all the images. I pass that image to my adapter. And now let me show you my adapter here. When we start with Kotlin, there are some really fancy methods. One, like Pankaj told, it is the let function. So instead of typing something like, I have a name, which is of type string. If yeah, so this is what I'll do in Java. I need to check if name is a particular name, or this is a little bit confusing. I'll check for null here. So if the name is not null, then call this method name.length. This we can reduce by, as it was told by Pankaj, name.let, and then I can do it.length. So this thing is really powerful, and Kotlin is filled up with such, breadcrumbs and all. So there is something called let, there's something called with, there's something called run, there's something called apply also. So if you see here in my adapter, on create view holder, as Pankaj told us, if there is only one statement that is being returned from a function, then we don't have to put that in braces. So here we have used something called as run. And using this, I don't have braces around my on create view holder. So what is happening is, in the first line, I inflate it using layout inflator, and then I call the run. I don't know what it is called actually. Let's call it run extension function, and it is going to do whatever remaining thing is there. So I'm reducing that braces. Nothing fancy in reducing braces, but it tells you how powerful it is. So with all these tricks and all, you can reduce your adapters code to just, let's say, 20 lines of code. And adapters are really difficult when too much work to create, right? So yeah, this is it. And then the whole application is filled up with such things. The same things. But what I wanted you to show is the adapter. That we can really reduce a lot of code. See, for example, get item count. I only have to return one particular value, so I'm not using braces. Only one line of code. On bind view holder, again, inside my inner class, which is photo view holder, I've created a method called bind, and bind takes data, and then it is going to put that data in the view, the child's view. So I have created a separate method for it. What this allows me to do is inside my onBind view holder, I can simply again not use braces and say holder.bind and pass the data to it. So all these small things can really reduce your code. So for all of you, when you are starting with Kotlin, do look into these things. Also with apply, let, run, all these lambda functions that Kotlin provides us, they're going to make your life really easy. Yeah, so you've seen the app. There's an option to go full screen. There's an option to change the layout from list to grid. And then there's an option to view the profile. This I'm creating right now. So yeah, if it was Java, then this whole thing would have taken a lot of code than what I actually have used. So Kotlin really reduces code. Let's find exact values and check in GitHub. Nothing. All Android default libraries. So I started it 19 days ago. Yeah, so 19 days. Yeah, actually, so I'm not working right now, so I'm doing all these things.
In terms of lines of code, whatever you showed, in terms of lines of code for this entire application,
Okay.
is about.
Actually, it is visible in GitHub. Does anyone know how to see all the lines of code? How many? Contributors? One empty comment. So
That is only for private.
Oh.
Exact basically looking at your files level
Ah,
applications and Android Studio. I saw very few files are there, right?
Yeah. So one thing that is really nice is, like as Pankaj told us, we can put more than one class in the same file, so that it reduces the number of files that we put. So which one in particular? Because okay, this one. So firstly, I've defined the animations in anims folder. So I think so. This is one example of it. Scale down or slide up. So slide up is the animation which brings that controls thing up. Similarly, I'll be having one slide down, and then there will be one which takes the thing from wherever the profile picture is, it goes to the center. So this item, I think this is the one. So we are translating it from position 0 to position something 40, 50, something like that. Stops there for a while, then it goes. And then I'm inflating it in my item animator. I'll show you where that item animator is. So this is the discover page that we were seeing. I have the activity, I have the adapter, and then I have this card item animator. So we must have used like default item animator. So it gives us, like, when we move a particular item up or down, it gives us a default animation. So I've extended that, and I'm calling my own animations when big change. So whenever user clicks on a particular item, I run that particular effect, slides up and all. I think this is the one. It's really difficult to see because I haven't even commented this code yet, because I'm just trying things out. And then when it goes out from activity, I think I will be calling go to next screen, something like that, starting another activity. And that image, yeah, so this image, we have something called shared element transition. So this image is going directly using shared element transition, and that thing which is moving, it is using animators. So translating. Okay, so let's see.
Thank you for all.
Just a minute. So do all of you have seen find by ID and adapter? Let's show adapter. There was one thing in angle bracket. View. So actually, before 27, Android 27, so typecast the text view or an any text. In cell library, we don't need this. But in Kotlin, we still need it. So,
Yeah, I have used time move by ID some places. Yeah, I can.
search for view.
If we start
If off is string. Init.
Yeah. This is typecasting. So this is something called as verified in Android, in Kotlin. Why this is needed is you define the type of an object beforehand, then it's not required. So if I say that it's some type image view, if I say well something name called an image view, then it's not. That's work of verify. And then you define it, it will take from object or define it next. And another thing is with because now you have 14 extensions. So the final by edit that you are seeing, it can be omitted in item view dot. Why we cannot access this directly? It's because of what we need is item view. So inside an inner class, we used to code in Java. What we were required is the view dot find by ID. Exact same thing right now also. Item view is needed. Then instead of finding by ID, then directly use this. Omitting this one. So you have both the ways. Writings. You can go find by ID also or direct. Like item view call dot object name. For all above classes, direct name is sufficient. There is something called view dot object that you have. And about the scope function and the extension function. So we have apply, click, run, left. The places where we use this is we use apply when I have to assign some values to an object. Say for example, I have a class named student. Student is having name and age. So traditional approach is val student equals to student. Then student dot name, student dot age. Student dot, again, it's a repetition. I can avoid this. What I can do with it, val student equals to student dot apply. Then you directly get an extra name and age. No need to define student dot age, student dot name. So you can only get student name. So apply is used for whenever you want to initialize something to an object. Let for checking the null. Apart from null, if you want to access an object, then also use that. say I want to use age of student, then that doesn't look like this dot age. If I do with apply, then it will be this dot age. So that's where we use let. Let will give me it dot age. Apply use context as this. Let use context as it. Run we use for a block of code that we want to run. We can have multiple scope. We can have a variable declaration also. We can use whatever we want, and that gets expired the moment we come out of the run. So run is just for a block of execution. With we use for multiple objects. Like on a text, I want to set text. I want to set text color also. I want to set text size also. 3 times I write text, I want to set color, set size, all those things. But in turn, I can use it with text view, now accessible. That's where we have multiple objects. Another thing is Kotlin extension. It's a new library designed by Googlers, apart from Google, a few other developers also. That's all called as KTX. KTX library is Kotlin extension library, which gives you so many features by default. Like shared preference. If you do not need to create any shared preference singleton, you are using Kotlin KTX. It gives shared preference to you with higher definition. You can do a lot of operations within Kotlin KTX. It's having very nice features. Actually, we can explore it. Or Anko and Koil. Anko is used for designing UI. UI through code. We always have XML for designing stuff. In Java also we can create any view using Java. Koil and what's that? Anko. So Koil and Anko. So Koil is used for dependency injection. If anyone has heard about Dagger 2. So Dagger 2 is one of the best dependency injection that we have. Koil is coming a bit advanced. It's not full-fledged, ready to replace Dagger 2 currently. And same holds good for Anko. Anko is a good library. It works well. But these two libraries are now supported by Google. Google only supports Kotlin, not other functionality that Kotlin is giving. But you can certainly use this library because they are good and provides very good features. You try for Kotlin KTX also. Kotlin has avoided boilerplate code. Kotlin KTX has even avoided that. Further optimization is going on. So in future, I think in Google I/O you may see something else also for Kotlin.
And I'll tell you a fun fact. So as Pankaj was telling us, we can replace find view by ID using something called as, it's called Kotlin extensions. It is by JetBrains. And now he was telling about something which is on another layer by Google, by which we can reduce boilerplate code and shared preference and all those things. That is also called as KTX, Kotlin extensions. So both the names are same, but they are two different products. It's really funny actually. They should have named it a little better. I'll show you where it is.
Frameworks and add-on frameworks are coming in. Developer always difficulty choose which one to use.
Yeah, so if you see here, the third line, it is Kotlin Android extensions. It is by JetBrains. Using that particular plugin, you don't have to write find view by ID. And so Android KTX, which is this one. So this is something which he was talking about. They are two separate things, but they have particular very common name. Android KTX, Kotlin KTX, something like that. Kotlin Android extension. And one small thing I wanted to say is, so here I am using Kotlin Android extensions, which means I can live without using find view by ID. But still I'm using find view by ID, if you see here. So now that is really difficult to justify. So if you see the UI, okay, so this is a recycler view, and let's say this picture, the one with the girl. So that is the image view, and I'm going to give an ID to that image view. Let's say I give it image underscore view. So that is my ID for that image. Now if I change it to grid layout, so I still see that image. Now all of you must be knowing that I'm just using two separate child views and remaining everything is same, common. So now we have two scenarios. What should be the name of this image view? Should I name it same image underscore view, or should I name it something else? Let's say image underscore view underscore grid, and that would be called image underscore view underscore list. So what I generally do when I was developing in Java, I would name it in the same way because I only want one ID because they are same logically. But using that KTX thing, I cannot have same IDs for two different views. And I'll tell you the reason. So this is my adapter. And if you look at the import statements, yeah, the second last import statement, Kotlin-X.Android.synthetic main, it is getting generated by the system, by the ecosystem. And it is generating from item underscore photo underscore list, which is, let's say, the child item for the list view, right? Now, but if I change the list to grid, now this import statement will be invalid because that ID is in a separate file, separate XML file. So using KTX or whatever, we cannot have same IDs for two different views. I'm not sure. I mean, there will be something which I'm doing wrong, but right now I can't find a workaround around it. So that is why at certain places like recycler adapters, I'm using find view by ID. And in places like where I don't have this problem, like here, I'm not using find view by ID. I directly put it like IV cover photo. You see in the middle that I'm using. I'm not casting it into a variable or using find view by ID. But in places like adapters where you have same ID for two different views, you have to use find view by ID. So I'll keep it on.
Thank you, sir. Slide.
So any other queries? Maybe you can reach us on meetup page, or you can post on the GitHub link in the comments. You can ask there. Yeah, so we have snacks there. Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you for coming actually. I wonder how many of you could have understand this. Kotlin.
Basically, all these are the concepts.
Yes.
Concepts.
You show the code, obviously show me the code. See the code itself.
Thanks for volunteering.
As a community, we are also looking to organize more meetups. So we would like to get some feedback from you guys at what topic are you interested in. Kotlin.
Nothing is happening from I is a group. Is it like a closed group?
Hyderabad, GDG.
GDG Hyderabad is there, and then there is Android also.
Android. I mean,
Yes, but the same.
the problem is that here the ecosystem are people not that much involved when you compare with the Bangalore or something. So that's the problem. So I met him in GDG last event I worked. So since then I'm asking him. So I requested him to come have a session.
This is the only thing that I found.
There will be an event in May. I think on 19th May.
But again, that will be a closed event, right?
That will be.
Yeah, most of the GDG Hyderabad is based on this itself. You register and then they select the people.
Last I was, it's not weird, but so if it is a female, the invite is accepted. So that was
For
it.
their fest.
Yeah, for their fest.
I went to the GDG about Bangalore last year. There was no one from GDG. That is fine.
Which event?
GDG, Google.
Yeah, we were there.
didn't take on the group.
We were there. The group organizer were also there. There are, I think, 4-5 members there. GT Hyderabad. I was also there. Even.
People are not that active in Slack groups or even it is GDG. Only few people are there.
And one last thing about Kotlin before you all go from here. There is no conditional if statement. So if anyone tried with question mark, colon, that will not work in Kotlin. We do not have conditional operator. The only way to do this, because everything is an expression, if the condition, return type, else, other. So there is nothing called question mark, colon, then one thing, then return type. So we do not have that.
Any other things? Any other queries? So, I mean, actually, we are also thinking about the follow-up session on this Kotlin. I mean, not sure about the dates. How many are interested if we conduct a follow-up session? So, always, so it's always one in that. We are also parallelly running a blockchain series as well. Let's say one session was completed, and May 12th we are planning the it's a hands-on session again. So Ethereum, so those things. So in case if you are interested, you can join there as well. So in case if you know somebody who are out of if you are interested to give a session, just come forward and because that's how community. So he gave a session and other guy came forward and he showed what he did. So that's how community works.
So usually you post on Meetup or
We post on Meetup page only.
the blockchain one already completed?
The first session is completed. It is a basic session, and we shared the YouTube session as well, so you can go through that, and you can attend the second session. But to attend the second session, mandatory that first session should be understood.
Right.
The prerequisite should be the first. So that's all. And that would be a series. There will be a monthly one session will be there on blockchain. So 4 sessions. That is what we plan. And for Kotlin based on sir. Yeah. So Kotlin also we wanted to have these kind of series. So that solely depends upon the interest. And even for these 77 people are RS frequent and the turnout ratio is 10%, right? 12%.
Yes.
So we partnered with the Coderplex community. So that's the reason they push. I think I don't know. Is a Kapil from Coderplex. I wanted to add.
You guys learned something today about Kotlin? Any of you have previous background in Android development? You who's absolutely new.
What do you do actually? Freelancing.
Not freelancing. This is an advanced and experience in Kotlin. Never in Android.
Those of you who already are familiar with Java and Android development, so any online resources before attending this for learning Kotlin? They are using some of Kotlin. They have already used it. So yeah, I'm the founder of this nonprofit